already know just where I be, dog. I ain't being cocky, but Philly what I'm reppin'. Watch me check it like it's hockey. I ain't tryna get it twisted. If you get it, then you got me. If you with it, cool. If not, I'll treat you like a Tamagotchi. I'ma let you down point. Yeah, I never disappoint.
What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you today. Welcome back to some NHL 18. Now this time, we're talking about the Stanley Cup Playoffs 2018 edition. And just like last year, I got my brother Chris with me. How you doing today, pal?
Doing fantastic, buddy.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's good. So we're going to go over the bracket in just a second. But my brother actually had a cool thing he wanted to talk about before we do that.
Yeah, so I just wanted, we always talk about how the playoff seeding is kind of taken care of. And we all know that the NHL, kind of struggles for ratings, and there's a lot of different reasons for that. But, just looking into the playoff seeding, I was going through and seeing what it would be if they were seeded 1 through 16 for the playoffs. It's not that much different, to be honest with you. There's 9 Eastern Conference teams and 7 Western Conference teams. The only team that gets kicked out is Colorado, and that's in favor of Florida. And, Florida only finished 1 point ahead of Colorado. So as far as determining the top 16 teams, the system we have, got 15 out of the 16 right. So just to kind of point that out. And it created some interesting matchups. The only one matchup that would be proper in a 1 through 16 tournament would be the Vegas and LA matchup in the first round. And as far as the top 8 goes, there's 4 Eastern Conference teams, 4 Western Conference teams. So that makes sense. The only 2 really geographically challenging matchups would be the 2-15, which would be Winnipeg and New Jersey, and the 6 versus 11, which would be Washington, San Jose. Those are the only 2 that don't make geographical sense. And then the other cross-conference matchup would be Nashville versus Florida. So it's really not that much different than what we have now, and I think it'd be an interesting conversation to have going forward with the league.
Yeah, that is a really good point, especially with, I know you love to pick on Bettman about the Pittsburgh and Washington matchup in the second round at least, which is usually what happens, that it wouldn't happen if it was the 1 through 16 thing, unless one just did significantly worse than the other. But that is a good point. I will agree with you on that. It would be very interesting to see it that way. Both ways are interesting. Playoff hockey is always going to be amazing no matter what it is. But are you ready to get into the bracket?
I just want to point out one more thing that I was just noticing as the bracket, or in the bracket. So Western Conference, you have the 4 Central Division teams in the same part of the bracket. Same with the Pacific Division. Same with the Metro Division in the East. The only thing that messes it up is the New Jersey Devils going into the Atlantic bracket. So how about that for organization?
It's interesting. So you said you wanted to start off with the Western Conference. So let's do that. Do you want to start right on top?
Let's go.
All right, so we got Nashville and Colorado. Nashville is the 1 seed, and Colorado coming from the wild card. Who do you got in this one?
This one is pretty easy. Colorado easily has the best line in this series with McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog, but the Nashville Predators, come on now. Their depth is just insane. Eeli Tolvanen is coming over. I don't know if he'll make much of an impact in the playoffs. I don't know if they'll even let him play in the playoffs, to be honest, but Pekka Rinne deserves the Vezina this year. He's just been insane. I don't even know who would start in net for Colorado. This one's pretty easy for me. Nashville in 5.
Nashville in 5. Good thing there. But here's the other question. You said, who is even in goal for Colorado? I legitimately don't even remember who's in goal for Colorado. Is it still Varlamov and Bernier? So yeah. I would guess Varlamov would start that. I think he's a better goalie. But I'm right there with you. Even though the line of Colorado, the 3 you said, is just, it seems great, but I got Nashville again. I got them in 5 as well. 4-1, obviously, there. But just, even looking at the head-to-head stats, it's like Nashville's got the edge in everything but power play and penalty kill, but even then, they're not that far off. So I got Nashville in 4 also. The next matchup we got is the Winnipeg Jets versus the Minnesota Wild. It's the 2 seed Winnipeg versus 3 Minnesota. I don't really have much to say about this one, so I'll start off. Winnipeg, although they got some younger talent there, Line A, you got Ehlers, you got strong core down the middle, I still am going to go Winnipeg. I got them in 6 games. I don't think Minnesota is just going to be a complete, just walkover team, but I think they're a good team, but I got Winnipeg in 6.
Yeah, I mean, Minnesota, they're going to struggle a little bit in this series. Devin Dubnyk's a pretty good goalie, but, they lost Ryan Suter for the playoffs, so that's a huge detriment, losing your number 1 defenseman, and I don't think they'll be able to recover. Everyone wants to try to point to Winnipeg's lack of experience in the playoffs with guys like Line A, Ehlers, Kyle Connor. I'm not having any of it. I mean, they're such a good team. They finished second in the regular season to the Nashville Predators, obviously just 3 points behind. Again, a pretty easy series for me. I've got Winnipeg in 5. I think Minnesota is able to steal 1 game like Colorado will, but I mean, Winnipeg in 5, that one's pretty easy.
Yeah, another thing to touch on that, I mean, I completely agree with everything you said there, but we have the bracket challenge up in front of us, so I guess shout out to the NHL for that. But Winnipeg has all of the statistical advantage there. I mean, more goals, or I guess less goals against, better power play, better penalty kill, better, I guess, face-off percentage. I don't know why that's in there, and better point percentage. So I guess that just an added little thing onto that series. But then we go on to probably my second favorite series of the entire playoffs. We got the first ever time the Vegas Golden Knights are in the playoffs, obviously being new, versus the LA Kings, the number 1 seeded Vegas versus the wild card LA Kings. I'll let you start this one since I took over last time.
Yeah, so Vegas and LA, that's going to be a really, really good series. And it's kind of the same thing I was just talking about with Winnipeg. People are going to point to, the lack of continuity in Vegas, their lack of maybe playoff experience, because you got one guy from every team. So obviously they're all going to have kind of a scattered bit of playoff experience. But I think being led by James Neal, he's had a couple deep runs with Pittsburgh, with Nashville. I think he'll lead their team to victory in this series, but I have it going 7 games. I heard today that the Kings have Jeff Carter coming back into their lineup, and we all know this Kings team has a heck of a lot of playoff experience. Dustin Brown having kind of a resurrection year, coming out of the ashes there. But I think Vegas takes this series, in 7 games. I think it's going to be really close, but I think Vegas just finds a way to pull it out. And I almost forgot Marc-Andre Fleury, hello for playoff experience. They're going to be fine. I think it'll go 7 games, but I got Vegas taking the series.
I agree with you, at least for the winner part. I got Vegas in 6. LA Kings, we could sit here and talk about their playoff experience all day long. Dustin Byfuglien, wow, wrong team. Dustin Brown coming back, making a huge year out of him. You can't look at their lineup in any way, shape, or form and be like, oh, they don't have the experience. They don't have the knowledge of how to play in the playoffs. It's just similar with like Pittsburgh, where even though they have a lot of young guys in their team, they still have tons of playoff experience. As for the stats, this one kind of goes both ways. They each are leading in 3 of the categories. Vegas is leading in goals, power play percentage, and point percentage. LA leads in goals against, penalty kill, and face-off percentage. Not by much as far as, those stats go, but, this one's going to be a good series. I would like to think this would probably be like a top 3 series in the first round as far as the closeness of the games go.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. One more thing I almost forgot. I forgot to talk about how Connor Hellebuck set a franchise record for Winnipeg, having 44 wins in a season. How about Jonathan Quick down there? Will win the William M. Jennings Trophy for least goals against in a season. So watch out for him to steal a couple of games in the series as well if LA's offense isn't getting it done.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, they had a lot of underrated guys, honestly, with Jonathan Quick, Dustin Brown. I'm always consider Kopitar underrated in a way because he's arguably, well, I guess their second, maybe third best player on that team behind Doughty and Quick. And even when you think of superstars, you think of your Crosbys, your McDavids, your Ovechkins. And I almost consider him like a tier 2, like right underneath him with like Getzlaf in them. But they're good players, but is it going to come out in the playoffs? I guess we're going to find out. Vegas, I mean, they got super lucky with Marc-Andre Fleury, because if they didn't have Fleury, who was going to be who's going to be their guy? Like,
I mean, you got to look. They probably steal Grubauer or a guy like Neuver, maybe even a Peter Mrazek if they have confidence in him. But yeah, they definitely got the long straw, we'll say, when they got Marc-Andre Fleury.
Completely agree there. Even though I have him in 6, I could definitely see that going 7. I think, like you said, going to be a great series. Going on to Anaheim versus San Jose, the 2-seeded Anaheim versus the 3-seeded San Jose. I don't remember who led off last time. I'll let you go for this one.
All right, so I mean, just kind of looking at the stats here, Anaheim's leading scorer, right? Rickard Rakell. Ryan Getzlaf had 61 points in 56 games. Obviously, even though he's getting older, he's still insane at the game of hockey. This is going to be a great matchup. You know, obviously an in-state rivalry, and you got all that kind of stuff. But I'm taking the San Jose Sharks in 6 games in this series. You know, Martin Jones, still a really good goaltender. Also just realizing that Martin Jones and Aaron Dell were the only 2 guys to play in net for San Jose, so healthy goaltending, a key for them. Another thing to look at, Evander Kane, 14 points in 17 games with the Sharks this season after coming over from Buffalo. Brent Burns getting absolutely no love in the Norris Trophy conversation this year, although he has 67 points. I got this feeling that he's just going to absolutely tear up the playoffs like the crazy good and talented hockey player that he is. I think Martin Jones is going to pull it off once again and carry them into the second round. I've got San Jose in 6.
Damn. Now, this one I went back and forth on, and even though San Jose got Evander Kane in this one, for some reason, when I think of Anaheim, they're another team that is just, I don't know why, but I'm picking them. And I picked them in 7. I know it's going to be a close series. This is another one that's going to be very, very close. At least hopefully it's going to be very close. Like you said, healthy goaltending on the side of San Jose. Evander Kane coming in. Even though I really wanted to pick San Jose, this one, I had him clicked on the thing, and I started going on, and for some reason I went back and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go with Anaheim. I don't know why, but I feel like Anaheim's going to pull it out. 7 games for me, and it's going to be a close series.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready for the Eastern Conference if you are, man. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, so we'll start it right off. Over to the Eastern Conference, first round, we got the Tampa Bay Lightning, the 1 seed, versus the wild card New Jersey Devils. And since you're so excited to kick this one off, I'll let you do that.
Well, Josh, I mean, kind of like the top of the Western Conference there. This one is really easy for me. Love the New Jersey Devils story this year. You know, Nico Hischier coming in, first pick in the draft, making a big impact for them. Taylor Hall just showing that Peter Chiarelli is a moron, which I find hilarious. But you know, obviously Brian Boyle, a shout out to him. Love him, for former Ranger, former Tampa Bay Lightning guy. Absolutely great guy, and all the best wishes to him in this playoffs. But you know, Tampa Bay, the number 1 seed, I think they're going to have an easy time in this one. The only sweep I have throughout the entire playoffs is in this series, Tampa Bay in 4.
Really? You have no confidence in New Jersey to at least take 1 game?
You know, you saying that kind of makes me think that Taylor Hall could just go off in one of these games, but man, Stamkos and Kucherov out there. If Stamkos comes back in time, let's see about that. You know, Victor Hedman on the back end. JT Miller, shout out to him. He's been tearing it up since coming over from my Rangers. And Andrei Vasilevsky, man, everybody thought that them letting Bishop go would be like kind of a detriment to the team. Well, how'd that go?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to make you think like, I was trying to pick New Jersey in that, but I'm not. I got Tampa Bay in 5 on this one. But the first line of Tampa Bay is just incredible. I believe it's Kucherov, Stamkos, and who's been filling on that line? I know it was Domestikov at one point, but obviously he got traded.
I'm pretty sure they just kind of threw JT Miller right in there where Domestikov was, and like I said, that's why he's been tearing it up recently.
Yeah, but even then, JT Miller on that line, huge there. They even got secondary scoring from Point. I didn't even notice this. Yanni Gourde, this guy was playing the AHL last year, I'm pretty sure, or was it 2 years ago, in the Calder Cup Finals versus, Syracuse versus Grand Rapids. And he looked like probably one of the worst players on the ice. And I didn't really see him as a good player at all. Now he's up in the NHL. He has 64 points. Where'd this guy come from? He got 25 goals, 64 points, has more points than Hedman, Tyler Johnson, Killorn, Mestikov before he got traded. This guy's came out of nowhere. I guess he's playing on their second line, I would assume, with Braden Point and someone else that's there. But that's just incredible. Plus, we should even mention, they got Ryan McDonough on the back end now. So now they have Hedman, McDonough, Sergachev. The right side's kind of a little weak. And who they got? Strawman, Girardi, and Schuster, I think, is back there.
Yeah, and
Dotchin. So the right side's a little bit weak, but the left side definitely makes up for it. That team, plus with Vasilevsky in the net, I just don't see any way that they're losing. Like you said, I love the story of the New Jersey Devils. Taylor Hall going absolutely off this year. Nico Hischier coming over. Good first year, 52 points. That's not terrible. Got a bunch of the younger guys making names for themselves, at least partly during that year. They made a couple of trades, got some more experience on the back end. I should also mention this. Don't know exactly what's going on as far as goaltenders go for New Jersey. I don't know if they've named a starter. But Keith Kincaid actually played more games this year and has done better than Corey Schneider. So I don't know if it was just Keith Kincaid's playing better, so he just got the games when he was playing hot, and he just kind of worked with that, or if Corey Schneider got hurt for a while. I don't remember exactly, but Corey Schneider either just did not play well this year or struggled just significantly. So hopefully they figure out their goaltenders, and hopefully one of them is going to show up in the playoffs, at least to have a chance in this series. But like I said, I got Tampa Bay in 5.
Well, Josh, that's a good eye, actually, because I forgot about that, because Corey Schneider did indeed get hurt. But even after he came back, their coach was just kind of riding the hot hand, and Keith Kincaid, they were riding him down the stretch to carry them into the playoffs. And like you said, it will be interesting to see who they have start. My money would be on Kincaid at this point. And one other thing to touch on with Tampa Bay, how about that Sergachev and Drouin trade, man? Man, Stevie Yzerman is a mastermind. You could even go as far back as the Corey Conacher-Ben Bishop trade, where he just absolutely ripped off Brian Murray. I mean, look what that trade led them to, and the development of Vasilevsky behind Bishop and everything. Stevie Yzerman deserves Executive of the Year every year. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, crazy trades all around. Just young guy for young guy. I don't really know what Druin's doing in Montreal anymore, but they didn't make the playoffs, so that's why we're talking about Sergachev. But I guess we'll move on right to the second series of the Eastern Conference bracket. We got the Boston Bruins versus the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'll start this one off. Just like LA, just like Pittsburgh, Washington, those types of teams, Boston is another team that you just can't underestimate in the playoffs. Tons of experience there. You got Bergeron leading them at the front. Pasternak, Marchand. Got the back end. I believe Char is injured. I don't know if he's coming back or not. McAvoy, I believe, was injured. I don't know if he's back. But then they get on the back end. You got tons of guys that are just making names for themselves. A bunch of young guys making names for themselves. Plus, you got Rask in the net. This one's going to be difficult for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But they got the young guns. They got Marner. They got Matthews. They got Nylander. They got Riley. I guess we'll consider him still young. And then they have, this is a team that I very rarely see that a lot of guys have more than 40 points. Usually you have your superstars. You have, a couple of guys that are, 80 points or whatever. If you look at Boston, for instance. They have Marchand and Pasternak, 80-plus points for both of them. That's crazy. Then you have Bergeron, 60 points, Krug at 49. And that kind of just slowly goes down from there. But you have, for Toronto, you have Marner at 69, Matthews at 63, Nylander at 61, Kadri at 55, Van Riemsdyk at 54, Gardner, Riley at 52. Then you have Marleau, who, let's just talk about that for a second, coming over from San Jose after what? It was 16, 17 years or something. That's crazy. 47 points, playing on their, second or third line, I would guess. But that's still really good. And then you got, Bozak and Hyman, 43 and 40 points there. But a lot of guys doing a lot for Toronto. I guess I'll talk about their goaltenders also. They're Frederik Andersen in net. didn't have like an elite level year, but had just like a good year. 38 wins, 21 losses, 5 overtime losses, and even in the backup for them, you have Curtis McElhenney, who's no one even knows who that is probably. 11-5 with a 214 goals against. Even though I love the young gun story of the Toronto Maple Leafs, just like last year, this time got to take the Boston Bruins. Just too much there for me, at least.
How many games for that series?
Oh, 5 games.
Boston in 5. Really?
Really. I love it.
Okay, all right then. So that just happened. For me, this is a fantastic series. Boston 4th in the league, Toronto 7th in the league. Only 1 win differential, but 2 and 3 in the Atlantic. This is going to be a fantastic series. Brad Marchand, if he wasn't such a scumbag, he had 85 points in 68 games. If my math here is correct, that's at least a 100-point pace if he plays all 82, but since he's an idiot and got suspended, I can just never have respect for this guy. No matter, he could score 1,000 points in 4 games, and I would still call him trash. I don't even care.
Agreed there.
Toronto, like you said, they got the depth scoring. They got the young guys. And Freddie Anderson, people in Toronto were talking. Freddie Anderson for the Vezina. Jeez, come on now. 2.8 goals. Come on. Y'all are all the way tripping right now. Okay, so let me just get to my pick. Okay, the Boston Bruins. They may have a couple injuries here and there on defense, but Tuukka Rask, man. I mean, can we screw Freddie Anderson? Let's talk. Tuukka Rask, okay, had a rough stretch in the middle of the year. Anton Khudobin came in, filled in pretty darn well, and then Tuukka Rask was like, no. We need to get to the playoffs. This is my team. Stepped up. 34 wins in the season, 2.3 goals against average. Save percentage wasn't that great. And then I'm not a huge advanced stats guy, mostly just because I don't understand them. But I think Boston wins this series, but it's going to take 7 games in the TD Garden. They're going to win in front of their home fans. Bruins in 7.
Yeah, one thing we didn't touch on either was the couple of acquisitions made by the Boston Bruins. They got Rick Nash from from the Rangers, and they also signed U.S. captain Brian Giunta. Both did pretty well coming in. Also signing Ryan Donato, I believe, also from the U.S. team. That college pick I believe it was, but they all did pretty well coming in after they were acquired, I'll call it. But that's going to be a crazy series. I mean, when I was thinking, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to make it 7 games, but I was like, you know what? Boston, I feel like they're just too good for it. But 2 versus 3 seed, going to be a good game regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more thing I forgot to mention in the Tampa Bay series, I have to kind of root for Tampa Bay this year because if they win the Stanley Cup in one of the next 2 years, the Rangers get a first-round pick instead of a second-round pick. So, love my Bolts.
Was that part of the McDonough trade, I'm guessing?
Yes, sir.
Of course. I mean, half their team seems like they played for the Rangers at this point.
Oh, yeah, Rangers South for sure.
So let's move on to the bottom half of the Eastern Conference bracket. You got the Washington Capitals, the number 1 seed, versus the wild card Columbus. This one's going to be good. I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, like you said, this one is going to be good. And how about this to start out the playoffs? Barry Trotz looks his goaltenders in the face and says, you know what, Braden Holtby? I think we're going to go with Philip Grubauer for game 1. So that's going to be really interesting to keep an eye on as the goaltending situation there in Washington. Man, these 2 teams, once again, a division rivalry, which I know the NHL just loves to crank out. You know, they think it matters. I don't really know if it does or not, but like I said, we'll save that for another time. You know, Washington, a little bit better this year, and I really think that this could be Washington's year, okay? This could be Washington's year. This is going to be a good series, but sorry, boys. I got Washington in 6.
Washington 6. Now, you stole my point with the goaltender situation. Now, obviously, we're big stats guys over here at JHoyt on the YouTube channel. Not really at all, but you look at the goaltenders. Braden Holtby, 54 games played, 34 wins, 16 losses, 4 overtime losses, and it goes against a 2.99. Not horrible, not the best, but not horrible. But you look at Grubauer, 35 games played, 15 wins, 10 losses, 3 overtime losses, goals against a 2.35. So not like that's, significantly better that like in New Jersey, how Kincaid was doing better, so they were playing him more, obviously, with injuries and stuff. But Grubauer, not doing, significantly better to where you're like, okay, Holtby just does not deserve to start this one. No. Honestly, I don't know if they're going to make a mistake in putting Grubauer in because that might cost them. But if they consider him their starter to start the playoffs, it's going to be interesting. I would not definitely have Grubauer there. I'd definitely have Holtby just because, he's my number one guy. He played good this year. I'm putting him in. But then the other side, you have Sergei Bobrovsky, who's, I'm guessing, going to probably win the Vezina maybe this year or someone else. I don't really know. But then you got Korpisalo backing him up. He didn't do that great for them, so they already have their number one. So is that gonna affect them? Maybe not. But let's look at the players, right? We talked about goalies. Look at the players. Let's just go with the top 3. I guess top 4 of Washington. Alexander Ovechkin, probably the best goal scorer ever, besides maybe like Gretzky. Then you have Kuznetsov, 83 points. Backstrom, 71. John Carlson, 68. And then it kind of just slowly trickles down from there. So you have a very top-heavy Washington, but I'm pretty sure all 3 of those guys are playing in, 2 or 3 different lines? So they have the depth. They have the spread-out scoring to where you have guys like Smith-Pelly playing with Ovechkin for some reason. Now, I know why, but that's crazy. Plus guys like Charlie Stevenson, Jacob Verana, guys like that can fill in pretty much wherever. Plus with the but just guys like Chason, Beagle that can play anywhere in your lineup and fill that gap. Great to see. Good goaltending in the back end. Moving over to Columbus, yeah, Panarin, just same way with like New Jersey. He just led the way for them. Seth Jones with a huge year. Pierre-Luc Dubois with a pretty good year. Cam Atkinson looks like he got injured or suspended, so he wasn't able to play the full year. And then it kind of slowly trickles down from there with a bunch of guys that put in some good stats. Thomas Vanek, I don't know when he got there exactly, but he did well after he got there. The addition of Ian Cole in the back end, playoff experience there. Plus with Bobrovsky in the net. I thought it was going to be a good series, honestly. But for whatever reason, I'm picking Washington and 4. Now, I wanted to have a little fun with this one. I only have, I believe it's 2 sweeps in the first round. And one of them is the Washington Capitals sweeping Columbus.
Interesting. I mean, you made a good point with Bobrovsky, but I don't know. I like Washington in 6, man. I'm sticking with my pick.
Hey, it's going to be good no matter what. Let's move on to the 2 versus 3 again. Pittsburgh being the 2 seed, Philadelphia being the 3 seed. I'll let you kick this one off, Stan. I need some water.
Good Lord. I mean, as far as first round series goes, can you draw up a better matchup than Pittsburgh and Philadelphia? Holy cow.
Not at all.
Every time you watch these 2 teams on TV, they're beating the crap out of each other. So this series is going to be stupid physical. I mean, for Philly, Claude Giroux said, "Guys, get in my backpack," and absolutely carried them to the playoffs. 102 points this year. Just absolutely insane. For Pittsburgh, Crosby scores 1 more point. You got 3 guys over 90, and they play on 2 or 3 different lines as well with Crosby, Malkin, Kessel. So, I mean, that's going to be a really fun series. I'm going to keep this one short. I got Pittsburgh in 7.
Pittsburgh in 7?
Pittsburgh in 7.
Now, can I also just say, before I get to my pick, Nolan Patrick, he was supposed to be the number 1 pick, right? Obviously, he got injured. I do know that. but he sure came out of, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but he definitely like earned his spot and had what, like 50 something points, I think I said. Nolan Patrick, only 30 points. Kind of underestimated. I thought he was going to be a little bit better than that. But like you said, Claude Giroux carrying him the weight with Voracek, Couturier. I don't know if that's their top line or not, but tons of guys there that are doing very well. Ghostosphere at the back end, 65 points. Although I love to not pick on Ghostosphere, but he just didn't seem that good last year. I mean, he was good, but not really that great. Like, you don't healthy scratch one of your best players unless they do something like significantly wrong. I mean, that's just crazy. Konechny, Simmons, I mean, you could name a lot of people in this team that do a lot of stuff for the team. And it's just crazy. I actually want to go see their goaltenders. Okay, what? So, they're goaltenders. Brian Elliott, okay, 43 games played, 23, 11, and 7, 2.66 goals against. Not horrible, but really surprised that this is a goaltender situation. Then you had Michael Neuvirth, 22 games played, which I'm guessing was their backup for most of the year. 9 and 7 with 3 overtime losses and 2.6 goals against. Then you had I believe it was a trade deadline trade of Peter Mrazek, which was really surprising. I mean, I didn't think they were going to trade him, at least. I thought they were going to trade Jimmy Howard and keep Mrazek, build around the young guy. But 17 games played, 6 and 6, 3 overtime losses, 3.2 goals against. And then you had Alex Lyon, I think I'm pronouncing that right. 11 games played, 4, 2, and 1 with a 2.75 goals against. So they have 4 different goaltenders that all played more than, I guess, 11 games. So who's starting for them? Is it Elliott still, or is it Mrazek or Neuvirth? We're out to Pittsburgh, like you said. Crosby, almost 90 points with Malkin and Kessel. I thought Kessel was not doing that well this year, but I guess 92 points changes my mind there. But Pittsburgh is one of those teams that always, no matter who they have on their team, they can make it work. Malkin, Kessel, Crosby, you got Hornquist, you got Getzel, you got Rust, you have Sheahan, you got, I forgot to say, Derek Brassard coming over from Ottawa. Like, they're stacked down the middle. They got young guns on the wings. And you have, franchise players like Crosby, Malkin, who are playing on 2 different lines. Kessel, I don't know if he's playing their 3rd line still or not. But then you got Hornquist, Getzel. Like, you could just keep going down the lineup about people that can make an impact playing with whoever. Excuse me. Then you got Letang in the back end. You got Mata in the back end. You got Schultz in the back end. Dumoulin, Oleksiak. They did have Ian Cole before the Brassard trade. But then you got on the goaltending side, you have another situation where Matt Murray, I'm guessing he got injured or something, but only 49 games played, 27 wins, 16 losses, 3 overtime losses with a 2.9 goals against. Tristan Jarry being their backup obviously after Fleury left, they needed another young guy in their lineup. So Tristan Jarry, 26 games played, actually played pretty well. 14 wins, 6 losses, 2 overtime losses, 2.77. And then a couple other guys that played a few games for them that did all right, except for Niemi, he did horrible. But this one, even though I wanted to say, Game 7, Game 6, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh in 5 here. For whatever reason, I just feel like Pittsburgh is just too overpowered this year. They got Brassard. They got the young guns on the outside, on the wings. Good defense, good goaltending. I got this one in 5.
You mark on your calendar with a big red circle.
Hey, man.
With a thick, fat mark.
Like I said, I think it's going to be physical, and that's why I'm saying it's going 7 games.
Let's get it on.
Yeah.
People are allowed to be wrong.
Let's go to the second round here. We're down to the final 8 teams. We're starting out with the Western Conference. We got Nashville versus Winnipeg. I'll let you start this one off.
Well, Josh, I talked about Winnipeg earlier. I have it right too, but I don't think it's going to matter that much in this series against Nashville. Nashville's just way too deep. They can roll 4 lines, 3 defensive pairs. They don't care. Peter Laviolette just did it last year. Pecorini for the Vezina. I'm calling it right now. I got Nashville over Winnipeg in 6.
All right. I like it. You basically copied me, but I got them in 6 games as well. I didn't write it down, but I wrote it down in my Microsoft Paint thing. 6 games for them. The addition of Kyle Turris as well, giving them a significantly upgraded second line center there, Johansson there. I don't know, just something about this team. Even though they came close last year with Pittsburgh, I got them over Winnipeg. I think that's where the run ends after the Minnesota win. I got Nashville in 6.
Yeah, although I'm still very sad that the two best teams in hockey had to match up in the second.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see it, but let's move on to the second round, the second game, or the second matchup, I'll call it. We got the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Anaheim Ducks. I'll start this one off. This one, I love the Vegas Golden Knights. You still got the tons of playoff experience for Anaheim. For some reason, I wanted to pick Vegas, just have that dream matchup, eventually later on versus Vegas versus Pittsburgh, battle of the goaltenders there. But I got to pick Anaheim in this one. I don't know what it is, but something about Anaheim. Got them in 6 games. Just had my gut feeling, had to go with them.
Well, Josh, I've got Vegas and San Jose in this series. I think this is our only different first-round pick. But similar to Winnipeg, San Jose's run ends here. I think Vegas, if they can just keep their free-flowing style of hockey into the playoffs, I think they're physical enough. I think they have enough scoring. We already talked about Marc-Andre Fleury. I think they have the tools to get it done. I've got Vegas over San Jose in 6.
All right, very nice. Let's move on to the Eastern Conference now. We got the second round. I have Tampa Bay versus the Boston Bruins. I believe that's the same as you have.
And so the lead.
All right, so we got Tampa Bay versus Boston.
Not a great start.
Like the Vegas Anaheim series, I had to go back and forth with this one. This one's going to be a great series. I can already tell. Lots of experience from both sides. Significant upgrades at the trade deadline and just before it. I have Tampa Bay in this one. I just don't know what it is, but Tampa Bay just seems to have the overall better team, and I got them in 7. This one's going to be a pretty darn good series.
Yeah, this is going to be a great series. I've only got 2 things to say about it. Number 1, love my Bolts. Number 2, oh, captains, my captains. Only Rangers fans will get it. I've got Tampa Bay in 7.
I mean, regardless of what you think about this series, it's going to be a good one. So let's move on to probably my favorite matchup of every Stanley Cup playoff video. The Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Washington Capitals. I'll let you start it off on this one.
Well, Josh, as we know, if Alexander Ovechkin could punch one person in the face, it would be Sidney Crosby. This guy has ended Ovechkin's run way too often, and man, these Pittsburgh Penguins, man, they're pesky. They get at you, like you said. Any casual hockey fan probably couldn't name,
Perhaps they can build on this
6 of their top 9 forwards. But that's how Pittsburgh gets it done. Washington, we talked about it. I have this hunch that by the second or third game in the Columbus series, it'll be Braden Holtby back in net. Will it matter? I don't know, but Josh, I'm going to shock you here. I've got Pittsburgh in this series losing in 7 games to the Washington Capitals. That's darn right. Alexander Ovechkin's going to get it done. Scored his 600th goal this year. Best goal scorer of all time. There you go. I said it. Washington over Pittsburgh in 7. Sharpie, baby.
Damn. I was not expecting that one, but you did say 7 games, correctly?
Yeah.
Okay. I got 7 games as well for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course. Come on. Every year Crosby just beats Ovechkin. I think Washington got worse as far as overall players go. Plus, with the question mark in net, is Holtby going to be back in the net? Is it going to be Grubauer? Personally, if it's Grubauer, I think Matt Murray definitely has the edge there. I feel like he's just a better goaltender. But you know what? Grubauer could shock us. There's been backup goalies that have come out and outplayed the starters in the playoffs and somehow led their teams far in the playoffs. So I just don't get it there. But I was kind of hoping we would have something crazy like this happen because it's been kind of straightforward. Obviously, we had a couple of different picks here and there. But I got Pittsburgh in 7 here. Crosby's going to get it done again. Obviously, I don't really care for them, but Pittsburgh's going to get it done in 7.
Hey, man, like I said before, you're allowed to be wrong.
All right. Moving on to the Western Conference Finals. I have the Nashville Predators versus Anaheim. And since I think we have different ones here, I'll start it off. Nashville versus Anaheim. For some reason, Nashville just has this vibe about them that it just can't get out of my head that they're going to go far, right? But not as far as last year. I have them losing Game 6. Anaheim takes it home, and they're going to meet up against the Eastern Conference winners.
And so timeout is taken, and both teams get a chance to gather together for strategy.
I don't know if there's any specific instruction here other than to wake up and start moving the puck.
Make sure you leave that part in the video because that's really funny.
Oh, I will.
And the face-off's won.
Yeah, so I've got Nashville and Vegas because your Anaheim Ducks should still be the Mighty Ducks, and that's why they're going to get stomped in the first round. I've got Nashville and Vegas in the Western Conference Finals. Nashville, they just got this thing about them, just like you said. And this thing...
Rath's butterfly positioning is perfect here. He's going to make that save all day.
Vegas is a good team. They played well all year. The story is incredible. Shout out to their social media guy, who is no longer their social media guy.
He just missed it.
This one is going to be a little pretty quickly for me. I've got a 5-game series in favor of the Nashville Predators. Pecorine for Vezina. Pecorine on Smythe? Question mark? We'll find out. I've got Nashville in 5.
Damn. I mean, that was one of those ones where I picked Nashville, and I was like, you know what? Let's go with an upset. You never know what could happen in the playoffs. Moving on to the Eastern Conference, I believe we both have no, we don't. I have Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. Tampa Bay, love the story of them. They got significant upgrades at the deadline. Pittsburgh, same thing with them. I guess it was a little bit more earlier on than that with Derek Brassard. This one, I got to go with the back-to-back. Is it back-to-back champs or what? A multi-time champions, Pittsburgh Penguins. I got them 7 games. This one's going to be crazy, and it's going to be nuts.
You're right. The Eastern Conference Finals will indeed be nuts. Too bad, because Sidney Crosby is going to be enjoying the golf course while Phil Kessel's stuffing his face with hot dogs when Tampa Bay is playing Washington for the chance at the Stanley Cup Finals. We said this was going to, I said this could be Washington's year. And it still could be until the Eastern Conference Finals. Love my Bolts. I've got Tampa in 6 over the Caps.
All right. I mean, if I was going to go those two, I'd probably pick Game 7, because at that point, you know what? Might as well make it Game 7. More hockey for us to watch. More excitement all around. But I got the Stanley Cup Finals of the Pittsburgh Penguins versus the Anaheim Ducks. And although Anaheim went through San Jose, went through Vegas, went through Nashville, this is when they're going to lose. Pittsburgh Penguins, I got them in 6 games, 4-2. There's something about Pittsburgh. They're just built so well. They got even better this year. There's something about them. They're winning in 6.
Hasn't been effective
just
yet.
Even hearing you say that makes me want to throw you off a cliff. Obviously, I can't do that because I'm over me right now. But your matchup's interesting. But my matchup is what everyone has been calling since, the middle of December. I've got Nashville and Tampa in the Stanley Cup Finals. Shout out Pat Daddy. Anyway, Nashville is built like the prototypical hockey team. This is how everybody wants to build their teams. They say you need center depth. Well, guess what? Ryan Johansson, Kyle Turris, Nick Bonino, and Colton Sissons or Austin Watson, whichever one of those guys plays center on the fourth line. They say hello. They say you need defense, right? Well, guess what? Nashville's got Roman Yossi and Ryan Ellis. They've got PK Subban and Matthias Ekholm, and the two guys on their third pair who are pretty good as well. I just don't know their names off the top of my head. They've got those guys. Well, you're going to need a goalie too if you want to go far in the playoffs. Did you hear the first part of this video where I said Pecorine for the Vezina? Here you go. There's the blueprint for a winning hockey team. But, on the other hand, you have the Tampa Bay Lightning. The star-studded duo of Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov.
Are threatening to run
Victor
away
Hedman
with this game. Let's just see
great.
before the second
Ryan
period's
McDonough,
over if there can be any kind of resistance.
And Mikhail Sergachev. We already talked about how Steve Yzerman has won like every trade he's ever made. Andrei Vasilevsky, great goaltender. And this could be the bold seal. Like I said, I got to root for Tampa Bay.
Pittsburgh's in their own end and on the
I had to build that up, man. I got Nashville in 7. That series is going to be so great. I cannot wait to be sitting on my butt the first week of June and seeing the Nashville Predators get the redemption, because screw the Penguins. They're not going to get back-to-back-to-back. Get that garbage out of here. Nashville did it last year. I think they figured out what they were missing. They went out and got Kyle Turris. They added a couple other pieces. I think this is their time, man. I got the Nashville Predators in 7 games over the Tampa Bay Lightning. Pecorine will have the goaltender season of all goaltender seasons. The Vezina, followed by the Tom Smythe. There you have it.
That's crazy. Both of our winners were in the finals last year, where Pittsburgh won. That's nuts.
Referee over to the penalty box, and let's find out.
Yeah.
Yossi's going to the box. It's a tripping minor. And so begins power play number 1. Let's see if it's power play goal number 1.
Alright guys, so you heard our picks. Obviously I'll have all the graphics on screen. I haven't seen his bracket as of yet, but we talked about it a ton here. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you have your own picks, make sure to leave those in the comment section below. Hopefully this will go up before the playoffs start. No promises, but if not, we recorded before the playoffs started, so we don't know anything obviously what happened starting at the playoffs going on. But anyway guys, Chris, I should say thank you for being in the video as always. Just thank you.
Anytime, man. I can't wait to get my redemption this year and have my picks be better than yours.
I mean, were they though? I'd have to go back and see who had more right.
No, I'm talking about last year. I think you had more right than I did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But this year, like I said, mine are going to be
I mean, I guess we're going to find out. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy, hit that like button down below. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And as always, guys, we'll see you next time.
I want you forever, even when we're not together. Scars on my body so I can take you wherever. Like, I want you forever, even when we're not together. Scars on my body, I can look at you and